3rd of November 2023, and this edition of This and That and What the Fuck Else, episode 186. It's Friday and it is Braaiday. Before, it was a difficult week for me, and things is looking ugly all over the world basically. But before I start talking about it in tonight's one, I'll be talking mostly about South Africa. Let's take a look at Russia. It is the Yakutia region in Siberia. Enjoy. That is a magnificent landscape, but I think it's pretty cold there. And before I go with the news clips, I want you to take a look at this video. And this is a video from Israel. Now, I've made my opinion clear about what I feel about those Zionists sitting in Tel Aviv. But look at this video and see how they treat the Orthodox Jews. And then just imagine if they do it with sort of their people, what they are doing to the Palestinians. Now that is really brutality. But I'm under no illusions. I think for most of us outside of Israel, and specifically Westerners, we don't really have a good idea of what exactly those Zionists has been doing the past 70 years to the Palestinians. I have seen videos here and there and heard interviews and so. It is brutal, and we tend to be over emotional about what happened on the 7th of October. And I'm still I'm convinced that was sort of a false flag thing arranged by those cretins sitting in Tel Aviv. But let's see, I think they have overplayed their hand this time. And then we start off with the EU. The EU lost $1.5 trillion from the Russian sanctions. The total losses of the EU from the imposed sanctions and the curtailment of economic relations with Moscow amount to approximately 1.5 trillion, according to Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister. Now, that is a massive amount of money. But let me remind you of Ursula von der Crazy, that so enthusiastically stated, the Russian economy is in tatters. In tatters, I tell you. I wonder whose economy is really in tatters. And then we get to South Africa and our Minister of Finance. JV tweeted, "This government has bankrupted our treasury and left us with an unsustainable sovereign debt. South Africa's future and its economy are in the balance. Why has there been no outcry from opposition parties and businesses?" And I have asked this question in some of my Skidmarks, where is the EFF fighters? Why are they not in front of this man's office. I'll tell you why. Because Malema benefits from all of this. They don't care about the people. And then we have this one. How is this even possible? Isn't it supposed to take at least 3 years and a 1.3 billion rand for consultants to do a technical and capital cost feasibility study on behalf of the responsible department, with another 1 year for the handpicking of prepaid lucky tenderpreneurs to do the civil reconstruction, which will be incomplete even after 2 years? And he's referring to this incident where in the Western Cape, the Bot River Bridge has been washed away in that flood, and it was damaged, like you can see on the image there, on the 25th of September and opened on the 30th of October. Now that is quite a feat, but that shows you what can be done if you use the right people and you do not let the project be run by consultants. And then we have this little piece of information, just let it sink in. The costs to repair Kusile rocket to 700 million rand. Despite some of the 245 billion in debt relief announced in February starting to flow to Eskom, its total debt rose to 423 billion in 2023. Now, this is scary. That's 700 million. That's on top of that hell of a lot of money, 2.5 billion or something, which is something like double the original budget for the thing, and it's 15 years late already, and now they must do 700 million rands of repairs there. And most of those repairs were pointed out to them right in the beginning at design stage by Eskom engineers. But they didn't listen to the Eskom engineers. Why? Because those Eskom engineers were white. And then we get this. The White Line tweeted, while hospitals face a budget shortfall, VIP protection services budget was increased by 79 million rand and costing taxpayers 3.4 billion per year. The ANC's priorities are clear, and they still vote for the ANC. Think about that. And then there was a follow-up tweet on it. The VIP protection in South Africa is costing the taxpayers 93 million rand per day. That is almost 4 million every hour. Why on earth do they need all this protection for, or rather from? Now that's a very valid question, and you must see this in relation with the fact that the police budgets get cut, the military budget gets cut, the health budgets get cut, the education budgets get cut. But their personal protection gets increased. Why is that? And then Cozy tweeted, how can the Minister of Finance expect a declining taxpayer base to support a fiscal bad debt caused by wasteful expenditure? Increasing taxes is penalizing those that are already struggling to make ends meet, killing all incentive for growth in a struggling economy. And that is the truth and the reality, and this is what they are doing to South Africa. This ANC cabal is dead set on destroying the country. I have got a theory that they want to put the country in such a bad financial position that if they lose power, whoever takes over cannot make it because there's no money. And then you have this one. 24 billion rand allocated for over-budget public worker wage increase. South Africa's finance minister plans to honor a wage increase for public servants despite fiscal constraints. That is another thing. But they pay these obscene salaries. Why are they paying that obscene salaries? I can remember the years when I was in the civil service. These types of salaries was never on the cards. And then look at this one. This will make you freak out. Over 50,000 government workers in South Africa are now millionaires. Finance Minister Enoch Gondwana has revealed that the number of government employees earning over 1 million rand a year has increased, and I can't remember the exact number, so I didn't want to do the whole article here. But it is obscene, the fact that there's even one civil servant that is a millionaire on his salary. But look at that obscene salaries they're paying the MPs. Look at the obscene salaries that the councillors get in the city councils. I can remember in my days, in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, a mayor got no money. He got some compensation for costs that he would incur. The council members, they did that free. There was no salaries for them. But today you sit in a situation that municipalities, their wage bill is 80% of whatever revenue they get in. And then you want to know why they're stealing the Eskom money that they collect. There's the problem. And I believe, and I may be wrong, if I'm wrong, put it here in the comments, but I think now that the government salary bill is something like 64% of the government's expense cost. And then we go to Israel. Israel is going to buy out the Gaza Strip. The government has offered to cancel some international debts through the World Bank so that Egypt will open its doors to Palestinian refugees. Egypt has 160 billion rand in debt and needs to take in about 1.5 to 2 million refugees. If the deal goes through, then in fact Israel will simply buy Gaza from the international community. So in the end, it's all about the money. Think about this and let it sink in. This is the reality that we're dealing with. And then you want to hold prayer meetings for those Zionists in Tel Aviv. And listen to this cretin. US Senator Lindsey Graham said there is no limit in responding to a question about the US attitude towards a number of civilian casualties in Gaza. Aired on the country's largest TV channel, the narrative was clear. No matter how many people die from IDF strikes, the US government will not stop Israel. Clearly, the cradle of democracy and humanity. Fact is, this is the same fucker that said the investment they're making in the Ukraine is a good investment because they're killing Russians. How is it possible that a low-life scumbag like that can be a senator in America? That tells you a lot about America. And then we get to the memes, and look at this meme and let it sink in. Look carefully. Mossad, Hamas, CIA. Hamas is a creation of the CIA and Mossad. And then we have this meme. Iran wants war. Look how close they put their country to our military bases. Let that one sink in as well. And then we get to South Africa. Sir Kabona Alfred. Know why Africa is poor. In Africa, the president of Nigeria and his administration act and think like the president of Zimbabwe. The trend moves across the African states. All their corruption and looting are the same, and their voters also think the same from South Africa to Ivory Coast. Incompetency is branded as black excellence. Africa is not poor because it was colonized. It is poor because of the mentality of its inhabitants. Respect and discipline are what is lacking in an African dictionary. He is really, the past week, he was going with no brakes. And back to Sir Kabona Alfred. Whites with political power built all the cities in South Africa. The best roads, the best universities, the best football stadiums, the best hospitals, the best schools and clinics. Blacks with political power looted all the government's money to enrich friends and family and couldn't even do maintenance on the roads or hospitals. We are closing the schools. They even failed to keep the lights on. That is very sobering. And then we get to this one around the World Cup. Megan S. tweeted, Fikile Mbalula would have done the ANC a favor by remaining silent. This team was built on merit, not cadre deployment. Their diversity comes from respect and tolerance. Qualities the ANC lacks. Your glue came apart at the seams, Mbalula. Viva Boca. A lot of truth in that. And then we get this from Russia. The domestic agro-industrial complex is more than 90% supplied with mineral fertilizers this year. And the amount of growth vitamins purchased by agricultural producers is 5% more than a year earlier. This was reported to the Prime Minister during the 25th All-Russian Agro-Industrial Exhibition. By the way, Russian exports all agricultural products are also expected to reach a record high of over $45 billion. Only gas and oil producers have more than that. Without the well-coordinated work of the fertilizer industry, such indicators would be unthinkable. Fertilizer consumption in Russia has almost tripled in 15 years. Thanks to the large-scale investments in development, more than ruble 1.8 trillion over the past 10 years. Russian producers have accounted for a third of the global fertilizer growth. Moreover, the average annual growth of mineral fertilizer consumption in Russia was 11%. This compares to only 1.5% for foreign agricultural producers. And then we have President Putin. The Russian President Vladimir Putin said Sunday that the Russian market has all major types of food and the export potential of agricultural producers is growing. Today our agrarians provide the internal market with all major types of food. The export potential of the industry is also growing, Putin said in a congratulatory message on the professional holiday of workers of the agricultural and processing industry, celebrated in Russia annually on the second Sunday of October. The president said that the agricultural products are already among the key items of Russia's exports. Russian companies are global leaders in a number of positions, such as wheat and fish. But Putin looks after his farmers very well. And I've spoken about it previously. He is canvassing farmers all over. And they are keen to take in South African farmers. And then we're back to Sir Kabona Alfred. Julius Malema threatened McDonald's and Woolworths, who hired thousands of black people in South Africa. McDonald's and Woolworths pay over 15 billion rand in taxes. The same Julius Malema encouraged counterfeit clothing and illegal cigarettes to be brought to South Africa. If you're a South African and you think that Malema is your hero and savior, then you're and he says that cat word that I'm not going to say. You can read it if you want to. And that is the truth. This Malema cares nothing for the people of South Africa. He is on a mission, he's got his instructions from XXX, and he is spoiling for a civil war. That is what he wants, a civil war. And then Billy van die Bosveld tweeted, the fall of apartheid was accompanied by the fall of discipline, values and goals. We only wanted to get rid of apartheid, not the rest, because it was the rest that served us so well. Instead, the ANC focused on guilt, and to this day, that mindset serves to destroy us. Yeah, it's true. And Kabona Alfred again. The ANC and EFF politicians, together with their pulpit, don't hate apartheid. They hate white South Africans. The pulpit doesn't hate oppression. They hate whites. The pulpit doesn't hate racism. They hate whites. They hate whites. Apartheid died in 1994, so the hate should have gone. But the black leaders in South Africa came up with 120 race-based laws to prove the point that they hate whites. They don't hate racism, they hate whites. From 1994 till 2023, only 96 whites have been prosecuted for racism in South Africa. Imagine 96 out of 4.5 million whites. This is a clear sign that most white people in South Africa are not racist. But if you talk to them, I have this one guy that I chat a lot with. Yes, that guy is so racist. And everything. It doesn't... I can make a statement about basically anything in the country that is happening, and he will work it back to race. They are consumed with this racist thing. And instead of focusing on getting their children educated and preparing their children to become economic, productive and active, no. They focus on fucking politics, and they're the majority, but they cheer the ANC for destroying the education system. Because it seems to me that education is not important. He himself said to me that YouTube is a good educator. Now, that explains a lot, but go and look out there at the unemployed. You have to wonder, why doesn't black people care for black people? And then we've got this tweet from Nkulu Maharaja. Apartheid equals diversity, but our economy was one of the strongest in the world. Our facilities was world class. ANC and EFF equals RSA is one of the weakest economies in the world. In the top 10 of the worst countries to visit based on crime statistics and various other factors. It is absolutely bad. And in the discussion I had with a guy this afternoon, we were talking about this destruction that's going on. And he said to me, yeah, but that's right. They must break down everything to the foundation and rebuild. And I said, okay, with the money and the skills that you're going to get, where? And then you have this gem. They say, Mum tweeted, your unemployment is the highest in the world. Our government calling for boycotts of businesses. Gee, they are a bunch of idiots. ANC KZN calls for Woolworths to boycott across the province as it prepares to protest in support of Palestine. But that is what IQ does. Lack of IQ does that. And then we get to this guy, Paul Mashatile. This is a guy that is seen as a future president of the country. Dr. Megan S. tweeted, DP Paul Mashatile says the ANC only deploy the best. He denied there was a link between cadre deployment and service delivery failures. Mashatile said that the party had the O.R. Tambo School of Leadership to ensure its cadres were qualified. And it's a fucking joke. Deploying the best. Now, to deploy the best of the shit doesn't mean you are deploying the best. You must deploy the best of the best, not the best of the shit. And then here is something to smile about. Could have been a what a fuck moment. Kazi Broadcasting News. Did you know husband and wife are the state official funeral service providers. That's Fikile and his wife. They are the official state funeral service providers. The corruption is totally out of bounds. And then we have this gem from Gauteng. That racist premier they have there, at first went out of his way to fuck the education up in Gauteng, and now he's going to fuck Gauteng. Gauteng wants to go cashless. Now, I just wonder how the hell they want to implement something like that in South Africa. But these uneducated voters will vote for their own slaughter. That's what it is. And now we get to that moment, and there was again people that gave me lip about it, and someone was actually very rude about it on my Telegram channel. And there was also someone made a nasty comment on the previous this and that video when I got to the back page. And I'm warning you now, this is the back page that comes now. So if you're a prude, close your eyes, because what you are going to see here now is for the manna, the real men that knows exactly what a woman looks like and respect women. This is for the men. Wow, there's some good looking girls there. And there's one guy that gives me a lot of glip almost every time when I do back page. He comes out and then he claims this and that one was artificially generated and whatever. I just smile. I make sure when I pick these girls, and I look at them with the eye of a photographer. And that's how I select them. And I try to be not brutal with the images that I select. Some viewers have sent me images to use, but I mean, that's a raw. I can't do that. The fact of the matter is, I appreciate a good looking girl. It is something that needs to be appreciated. But enough of that. South Africa is in a tight spot, and we have a serious problem. There is a selection in the black communities that are dead set on starting a civil war. And we must be alert and keep our eyes open for that. But I also pick up vibes in the black communities that there's a lot of resistance against this Malema type of shit. So we must just hope that the decent people in the black communities can overwhelm the cretins. It's Friday, it's Braaiday, Saturday is Braaiday, the whole weekend is Braaiday. We are being hammered with a fucking load shedding again. There's for me, I smell a rat, but I'll do a skidmark on it again. The reality is, I'm sure we're being played with this Eskom thing. But let's see, because I have a distinct feeling that the pressure on the ANC from the business community and from social pressures are beginning to become unbearable when it comes to this load shedding. Have a great evening, and please give me a like and a subscribe and share the thing. And I want to thank you all that we hit that 10,000 mark. Let's go for 15,000 now. Thank you.